I'm Jake Hart,
And I'm Sarah Moon.
and welcome to The Deep Dive, where we take a deep dive into the stuff you want to know more about.
Exactly. We get all this amazing material from you guys, and then we just go deep.
We get to the bottom of it. So today's deep dive is about the story of Betty Guadagno.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, you shared her interview on Next Level Soul.
Yeah. Angry atheist and addict dies, shocked by WHO. She saw in heaven. Profound NDE. Betty Guadagno.
That's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's on Next Level Soul podcast.
And I just want to say, Betty's story is really something. It's like she went from hardcore atheist, like absolutely not,
yeah.
to this incredible near-death experience and like a total spiritual awakening.
Yeah, it really makes you think about what's possible, right? Like how much can a person actually change?
Right. It's like questioning everything you thought you knew about life and death and like what happens after.
Absolutely. Yeah. So before we get into the NDE itself, let's talk about Betty's life before all of this happened.
Okay, so before March 2019, before her NDE, Betty was, like I said, a staunch atheist.
Like the opposite of spiritual.
Totally.
Yeah.
She believed death was just it. Like you just turn into dirt. That's it.
The lights out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just some random belief she held on to. It came from her life, her experiences.
It was like a defense mechanism almost.
Yeah, a way to cope with all the trauma she went through. Like, if there's a God, why would he let this happen to me?
Right. So she rejected the whole idea.
Completely. And when we talk about trauma, it was like layers upon layers.
It wasn't just one thing. It was everything.
It was like a constant state of hardship for her, like addiction, poverty, sexual trauma, all of it.
Wow.
And she grew up thinking this was normal.
That's so sad.
It is. She talks about stealing food just to survive.
No kid should have to go through that.
I know. And eviction after eviction, they even had to get electricity by running extension cords from neighbors.
Seriously.
Yeah, that was her everyday life.
And her parents, they weren't exactly a source of stability, were they?
No, they weren't. They used substances to cope with everything.
Whatever they could get their hands on.
Exactly. Alcohol, pills, anything to numb the pain.
And Betty saw that.
She did. And that's where she learned that substances make the pain go away.
It became her blueprint.
Yeah, a tragic one.
Okay, so 2007, a truly awful thing happens.
Her parents, they were deep in their addiction.
Even with prescriptions for thousands of painkillers, they still ran out.
It was during the OxyContin crisis.
Yeah, they were facing eviction, utilities were shut off.
And they couldn't see a way out.
So they decided to end their lives together.
They overdosed, leaving a note for Betty and her sister.
Betty was only 23, her sister 18.
They wrote, "Take care of each other," on a notepad.
Imagine finding your parents like that.
Devastating. And with that note, like they expected those young girls to pick up the pieces.
It just shows how desperate they were.
It really does.
And for Betty, this was a turning point in the worst way possible.
She fell deeper into addiction.
It became everything to her.
Her guiding force, her only solace.
No room for God in that space.
No, not at all. She left her sister and moved across the country.
Wow.
Yeah. She was so consumed by pain that she went from being a victim to...
Becoming the perpetrator.
Exactly. It's like hurt people hurt people.
It's a cycle.
It is. She felt like the only way to not be a victim was to inflict pain on others.
A very distorted sense of agency.
But it came from a place of deep, unprocessed trauma.
Right. So now let's fast forward to March 23, 2019.
The day everything changed.
The day of the NDE.
It was the first day of Aries, the spring solstice. Betty saw it as an epic rebirth.
Symbolically fitting.
Very. She was at home about to do laundry.
Laundry.
Yeah, and she wanted to feel real wavy, so she took a lot of substances.
And overdosed.
And overdosed.
So what happened next?
It wasn't peaceful like some NDEs. It was a brutal life review.
Like reliving her life.
More like feeling everything she'd done to others.
From their perspective.
Exactly. She said it felt like she'd ripped pieces of their souls apart.
That sounds intense.
It gets even more intense because then it went beyond her own life.
What do you mean?
She experienced a collective life review.
Like what?
She saw events outside her lifetime childbirth, a parent losing a child, even her parents' suicide from their perspective.
She saw her own parents' suicide.
She felt their anguish, their hopelessness. It was overwhelming.
So no tunnel of light, no peaceful transition?
Not at first. She just remembers collapsing on her bathroom floor and feeling everything.
Overwhelmed by feeling?
Exactly. She thought she was seeing her deceased parents and thought she was dead.
Wow. And then...
So she had a Kundalini awakening.
Like a spiritual energy surge.
Yes. It was like her soul was on fast forward, cycling through all these states of consciousness.
From grief and rage to love and acceptance.
All of it. And then she heard a voice.
A voice.
Her father's voice chanting, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe."
Wow.
Then it morphed into other masculine figures from her life, guiding her towards the light.
Guiding her.
Yes. And the light was a complete shift.
From all that emotional turmoil.
It was like a video game visually. She was on a spaceship deck surrounded by thousands of souls.
A spaceship.
Yeah. And there was a commander, this being of pure love, who told them they were volunteers on a mission to Earth
Volunteers.
for a global transformation of consciousness. And everyone there was happy about it.
That's so different from what you usually hear about heaven.
It is, but it reflects Betty's background.
Her generation.
Exactly.
So what happened on the spaceship?
Then she was at a crappy plastic table with these beings.
Beings.
They had a huge book, and they told her she couldn't stay. It was just an informational visit.
Even though she wanted to stay.
She did, but they said she had to go back.
And then came the pre-birth planning.
The supermarket sweep.
I've heard about this. What is that exactly?
She was with this guy in a plaid blazer and fedora, like an NPC in a video game.
An NPC.
Yeah, he gave her a shopping cart and told her to choose her life.
Choose her life.
The aisles were filled with giant cereal boxes, each representing a life experience.
Wow.
And Betty, she wanted the Great Awakening, so she grabbed boxes for addiction, poverty, sexual trauma.
The variety pack.
Exactly. She wanted it all.
And what about the sexual trauma box?
That one's important. When she picked it up, an orb of light came out.
An orb of light.
It was the soul of the man who abused her.
What?
Yeah. She had this soul-to-soul connection with him and realized they had a pre-birth contract.
A pre-birth contract.
They'd chosen these roles to balance karma from a past life.
So she was the abuser in a past life.
And now they were switching roles.
That's a lot to process.
It was for her, too. But she felt love between them and understood they were both playing parts in a bigger plan.
So it wasn't about blame anymore.
No, it was about healing. Her healing would help countless others.
That's powerful.
It shattered her victim mentality. She realized she was a divine co-creator.
Not just a victim.
Exactly.
So then what happened?
She was back at the table with the beings, grateful, but still not wanting to return to Earth.
Understandable.
But they insisted she had a mission she'd trained for lifetimes.
A mission?
When she complained about her glitched body, they offered her a different one.
What?
A baby with a harder life.
Wow.
So she chose her own body. They reassured her that the first part of her life was just boot camp.
Boot camp for the soul.
And the second part, her mission would be better with support.
That's reassuring.
It was. But when she woke up, she dismissed the whole thing as a drug-induced hallucination.
Of course. Damn, I was so high I thought I was talking to God.
Exactly. She went back to her old ways for about 2 months.
Still using?
Until the universe intervened. She needed more drugs, so she called every dealer she knew.
How many?
About 10. And get this, every single one of them told her they'd found Jesus.
You're kidding.
Nope. They all refused to sell to her and blocked her number.
That's wild.
It is total synchronicity.
Yeah, she went through withdrawal.
Agonizing withdrawal. By day 3, she was at her breaking point.
Couldn't take it anymore.
Then she heard a voice telling her she could ask to be fixed.
Asked to be fixed.
She begged for the pain to go away and had a vision of 2 little men with lawnmowers.
Lawnmowers.
And instantly the withdrawal symptoms vanished.
Gone. Just like that.
Gone. She went from wanting to die to being completely healed.
Incredible.
But her interpretation of this was a little off.
Off how?
She thought she was the second coming of Christ.
Oh boy.
She started evangelizing on the subway, trying to lay hands on people.
From atheist to Jesus.
It was a big swing, but still driven by ego.
Just a different kind of ego.
Right.
So how did she find her way to actual recovery?
Another synchronicity. She was alone on the subway, and this guy with a huge 12-step fellowship necklace sat across from her.
A 12-step necklace?
A big one. An inner voice told her to follow him to a meeting.
Follow him?
So she did. He invited her to come along.
And that was it?
That was her first step. At her first women's meeting, a woman hugged her and whispered, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe."
The same words from her NDE.
Exactly. It was like a confirmation, a deep resonance that allowed her to finally surrender.
Let go.
Yes. And the next day at a meeting, she felt like everyone was talking directly to her.
Everyone.
Sharing their stories just for her. And she felt drawn to the program director of a women's rehab.
Dang.
The director left early, but Betty ran into her on the bus.
No way!
Yeah. and the director agreed to help her get into rehab.
So many synchronicities leading her to recovery.
It's amazing.
So tell us about the rehab experience.
She spent 17 months in this all-women's facility.
Away from everything?
No phone, no internet. She immersed herself in spiritual books.
Like what?
A Course in Miracles was a big one. She was developing her own spirituality.
And this is where she started to understand her ego and her shadow.
She learned about Jungian psychology,
The masks we wear.
the hidden shadow parts of ourselves. She realized her shadow had been in control for so long.
Especially after her parents died.
The goal wasn't to get rid of the shadow, but to understand it and give it a new role.
Not to fight it, but to integrate it.
She even personified her addiction as a character named Richard,
Richard.
to separate from it and have compassion for it.
Interesting.
She noticed other addictive tendencies popping up, like eating disorders.
The addiction just shifted form.
Exactly. It showed her the deeper mechanisms at play.
And she started to see her life challenges as pre-planned plot points. Like a soul contract.
Yes. Intensified by her resistance to her inner guidance.
So after all of this, did she start experiencing those spiritual gifts?
She did.
Yeah.
At first, it was fleeting things like seeing auras.
Auras?
She saw spirals coming out of people's ears when they lied.
What?
Yeah. She also tried bibliomancy.
Opening the Bible randomly.
And the verses always felt relevant to her situation.
Like divine guidance.
And she even stole a Bible from Walgreens.
Stole a Bible.
It's ironic considering her spiritual journey.
For sure. And then there was synesthesia.
For a while, her senses got mixed up. She could taste music.
Taste music.
But it was too overwhelming, so she asked for it to stop.
And it did.
It did.
So what about the gifts she still has?
She's a master manifester now.
Using the law of attraction.
And she brings people together, creates community. She believes her past experiences, even the difficult ones, gave her a deep understanding of human nature.
Even sex work.
Even that, it taught her about people's pain and their desire to connect.
And losing her parents.
That allows her to help others with grief. And of course, her addiction informs her work in recovery.
Sharing her story to give others hope.
Exactly. It's amazing how our darkest moments can become our greatest strengths.
That's true. And her perspective on life and death changed too.
Completely. At first, she feared she wasn't worthy to cross over after the overdose.
Because she tried to end her life.
But she realized it wasn't just about going to heaven, it was about bringing heaven to earth.
Living a heavenly life here and now.
And she's not afraid of death anymore. She enjoys life more now.
What about choosing a difficult life?
She said heaven might be boring.
Boring.
All love, no contrast. She believes the purpose of Earth is to experience contrasts.
The full spectrum of experience.
From love to suffering, joy to pain. She joked that souls in heaven might be like valley girls, wanting a taste of the drama down here.
Wanting the Earth experience.
Even though it can be messy.
A dumpster fire.
But she sees it as a collective dream and respects everyone's soul plan.
What about when she started experiencing success?
It was uncomfortable at first. It triggered her inner saboteur.
The voice of self-doubt.
Exactly.
So what advice did she give to others?
For those who've lost loved ones, she offers reassurance about the afterlife.
That it's a place of reunion bliss, joy, connection, and safety.
She believes everyone makes it there, no judgment.
And she encourages people to ask for signs from their loved ones.
Like the fox she saw as a sign from her father.
What about people going through spiritual awakenings or shadow work?
She says, don't watch the news, be present, find a teacher or community. Don't do it alone.
If I'm doing my work by myself, I'm in bad company.
Exactly.
And what about her definitions of a fulfilled life? God love.
A fulfilled life is about experiencing everything and being of service.
Giving back.
God is an indescribable energy, unconditional love, safety, peace.
Not a person in the sky.
No, and love is unconditional, not transactional.
A big shift from her past experiences.
She even joked that she'd ask God, do you like my hair?
That's funny.
She sees the purpose of life as experiencing forgetting and then remembering our true nature.
Remembering who we truly are.
And that remembrance is bliss.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how can people connect with her?
Her website is buddhabetty.com, and she's Buddha Betty on social media.
And she especially wants to connect with those struggling with addiction or spiritual integration.
Offering support and resources, she emphasizes that hope, freedom, and help are available to everyone.
That's a powerful message.
It is. Betty's story is truly inspiring. It shows the incredible power of transformation.
From trauma and addiction to spiritual awakening and purpose.
And it reminds us that we are all inherently worthy.
Absolutely. It makes you think about your own life, your own challenges.
How can we see our struggles as opportunities for growth and understanding?
Exactly. We encourage you to watch the full interview on Next Level Soul podcast.
It's really powerful hearing it from Betty herself.
And as you reflect on Betty's story, think about your own cereal boxes.
What life experiences did you choose?
What challenges are you facing that might be part of your soul's plan?
And what signs are your loved ones sending you?
So much to think about.
It is.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Betty Guadagno's extraordinary journey.
If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with anyone who might find it helpful.
And for a truly immersive experience, check out our upcoming Mystic Podcast cruise.
You can find details on our website.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the mysteries of life.
Until then, keep diving deep.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Mystic Podcast Cruise. If you enjoyed today's story, give this video a thumbs up and share it with others who love uncovering life's mysteries. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us continue bringing you captivating stories about the unknown, the mystical, and the extraordinary. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep cruising through the mysteries of life with us here on Mystic Podcast Cruise.